for a warning, and then at 2 minutes, you'll see a red card, so you know your time is up. The first candidate will be asked question 1, and then all of the other candidates will have a chance to answer the same question. If you need to repeat a question, just let me know. After that, the next candidate will be the first to answer a question, and so on, so everybody will have an opportunity to go first. I am just going to go in alphabetical order, starting with Ms. Cochran, and we'll proceed. Do you have any questions? All right. So for our...
No.
Oh, okay.
Never mind. We're good.
Okay. Listen to the timekeeper. Yep. So for our first question, starting with Ms. Cochran, please introduce yourself and tell us why you are running for school board.
Hi, my name is Kari Cochran. I first want to thank the Sweetwater Education Association for hosting this forum, and thank you to the Sweetwater County School District No. 1 Tech Department for helping to broadcast this out to the public. Thank you to everyone who came out tonight and to those watching at home. This is a very important part of the election process, although as a candidate, it's making me extremely nervous. I'm a wife, mother, and a cosmetologist and an active member of the community. My husband works for sales in the oil field company, and we have 2 children, Jordan, who is 18, and a recent Rock Springs High School graduate. Yay, we did it. And Cambry, who is 11, and a 6th grade student at Pilot Butte. I've been working as a cosmetologist for the last 16 years. Throughout those years, I've been privileged to meet and conversate with a variety of community members. Through that experience, I've gained an insight into many different backgrounds, and I think this is a huge asset to serve on the board. I have lived in Rock Springs my entire life. I went to Overland, Lincoln, East Junior High, and Rock Springs High School. Attending public school while your parents are educators puts a different spin on things. Education has always been extremely important to our family. My parents moved here in 1979 to pursue their education careers. They shape my interests, passion, and expectations, and its impact on our children and community. Now, as a parent in the district, it is my turn to show the children the importance of being involved in the value of education. I first started off volunteering in the classroom and joining PTO. I've watched most board meetings in the last 4 years. It started out as a way to advocate and gain knowledge as a parent, but morphed into a general interest in the district. If elected, my mission is to serve in a manner that supports the students and staff in a physical, mental, and emotional health, to ensure the district is responsive to the values of the community while focusing on a comprehensive approach to students, staff, and their success and their well-being.
Thank you. And Ms. Eddy?
Hi, my name is Dana Eddy. Thank you to the board for hosting this event, and I hope I can give you guys some insight into my reasons for running for school board. First and foremost, I have been a resident of Rock Springs for the last 9 years. Prior to that, I came from Colorado. I am been married for 22 years, and I have 3 children. Jacob, he graduated last year. Samuel, he's 15 years old, and Sarah is 13. So in my endeavors, I know how important education is. I came from a family that my mother did not graduate high school. My father barely graduated high school, and so there were barriers in place for me, and I want to make sure that we can transcend those barriers for kids in our district that struggle and don't have maybe that support at home. I know how that is. I was able to graduate from college with a degree in biology and a minor in chemistry. So I bring a unique perspective, I think, as well, because I've been involved in a lot of industry, and typically industries that women especially don't expose themselves to. So I want to make sure that kids know that that's a possibility either way, and that we are very fortunate to live in the community that we do. The industry that is available here is not like many other areas in the country. I know, I came from Colorado. I've found over the course of time that there seems to be a disconnect for us in our community when it comes to parent involvement, our education system, and the community. So I want to try to get those things brought together and make sure that we're aligning ourselves together, because I've seen what this community can do for our environment in our schools and financially and both intellectually. So I want to bring those pieces together, and I think I have that unique experience to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Schubacher?
There we go.
Oh, hi. My name is Danielle Schumacher. I am a local attorney here within our community. However, before becoming an attorney, I was born and raised here. I went to public school here, kindergarten through 12th grade. And then I actually attended Western Wyoming Community College before going up to the University of Wyoming. So I have a experience personally with attending the schools publicly here. Along with that, I do believe that it's important as a parent to be a part of and involved in the children's schooling of not only mine, but others. As an attorney, I am able to work with families that are a part of proceedings such as neglect or parental termination, things like that. So I've been able to also bring that experience of working with kids that aren't from just a home that has two loving parents that encourage them to go to school every day. And so I believe that experience definitely will help and aid me in providing that voice for being on the school district school board. Along with that, I do believe that much like Ms. Eddy was saying, parents need a voice. I believe that teachers and students need a voice. And I think that there is a bit of a disconnect as well. And I think that by being a part of the board, I am going to be able to bring that to ensure that that is not being lost in what the school district is doing for our community, because the school district is a huge important part of what is happening within our community today. Student achievement is a big thing for me, and I would really like to see that student achievement within our district increase. And I think that being a part of the board, I'll be able to bring that knowledge and hopefully be able to achieve that as well.
Thank you. And Mr. Wright?
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you to SCA, and also thank you to these three wonderful ladies for going first and taking a little pressure off. My name is Cole Wright. I'm a husband, a father, a professional engineer, a volunteer coach, and a member of our community. I grew up here in Rock Springs and graduated from Rock Springs High School, class of 2003. Go Tigers. I went to Westminster and earned a bachelor's in mathematics, and then moved on to the University of Utah, earning another bachelor's and a master's degree in engineering. And then I came back here to start raising my family and beginning my career. I'm here because I'm interested and devoted to serving our community as a whole, starting with our community's most valuable asset, in my opinion, is our children. I've been a volunteer coach for 7 years now in soccer, baseball, scouts, all the various activities that my kids do and that I can help within the community. But my goal for coaching these young kids has always been to help them understand themselves and their talents, helping them learn how to work together in a team, and helping them set ambitious goals for their future. As a licensed professional engineer, I've also been involved in Career Day here in our district. The University of Wyoming has a program where we get to go into the classroom and help teach and instruct the young minds of tomorrow. So I've been involved at Westridge, North Park, East Side, various other opportunities. And I just love watching our kids learn and grow and able to help them pursue their dreams. And then second to the kids, I'm here because I want to help support our teachers. I think our teachers and administrators and staff, they all give tirelessly in their efforts to help educate our young ones. And I think they deserve the support of our community. So I'd like to be here as a voice to listen to our community and to help bring that and help our teachers and students. And I'm out of time, so thank you.
Thank you. And the second question will begin with Ms. Eddy. What do you see as the district's biggest challenge?
I think lately we've seen the struggles with graduation rates and also meeting the standards-based testing that is in our district. And I think the school district is moving towards coming up with a solution. And I was at the school board meeting last night, and one of the biggest things I saw that I'm not sure if I was aware of before is how the elementary schools were coming together along with the secondary elementary schools with like Eastside, and I think it's Pilot Butte, to make sure those standards are coming together and that they're in alignment together. They have a plan for all the schools. It's not the schools operating separately and disconnected, which I think is a big thing that the district needs to work towards. we all want our kids to graduate, and a couple things that I saw on the PIT team at the high school that I've noticed is, and I saw it with my child that graduated last year, is that they're being taught in school, but then when they take the assessment test like the ACT, what the classes he was in and what he scored on his ACT was drastically different. And it shocked me. It honestly shocked me as a parent. He is also a child, though, that doesn't test well. Second time around, he did better. But that was something that was brought up in that PIT team that I actually did see for myself. So I don't want our kids to think they're being successful because they're in an AP class and then turn around and take an ACT and find that that information isn't translating. So I want to make sure that we're actually teaching these kids the standards and the things that they need to be successful to move on to either the jobs that they're going to do after high school or secondary education, whether that's a trade school or college. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Schumacher?
So I mean, to again kind of go off of what Ms. Ida is saying, I'd say that one of the biggest struggles I feel that our district has is student achievement based off of the graduation rates. To me, I find it really interesting that surrounding communities such as Green River's graduation rate is much higher than what we see here in Sweetwater County. And it's nothing new. It's something that we've struggled with for years. And we haven't been able to figure that out. In review of the school board meeting last night as well, I mean, I agree that there's definitely some great ideas that are out there, and it's going to have to take work in order to see whether or not that works. The hardest part about it is that we as a school district are tested on standardized testing, and it is well known that standardized testing does not work for everyone, but unfortunately that is what we're faced with. And so it would be really interesting to be a part of that and come up with different ideas. And I think that last night was a great start. One of the things that I believe could help would be a lot more mock testing, which is silly, but I've taken many standardized testings to get to being an attorney all the way from the beginning of getting into law school through taking the bar for Wyoming. And there were so many different mock testings and different ways to study that I think could be a part of what the district is doing. And I think that they're definitely on the cusp of figuring that out. But I also think that working with other school districts within our state that are successful and, you know, close communities such as Green River to figure out what's working for them as well is something that we do, but we could probably do a little more in order to have a better understanding of that too. So I would say that that's probably one of our bigger struggles, and it's something that I'd really like to bring to the school board for student achievement.
Thank you. And Mr. Wright?
So I'm going to take a little different approach on this. I believe that something that we need in our district is a collaborative environment where our community, our parents, our teachers, our administrators, our district employees all have a quality and functional relationship. I believe that there's a lot of voices out there that want to be heard. And I believe that if we are going to make progress, we need to do it together. And I think that currently there's a lot of disconnect and a lot of, I'm not a Facebook person, but I know this rants and raves topic, right? I think that to make progress and to move forward, we need to be all raves, and we need to be a community that supports one another, that supports our teachers, that supports our students after hours at home, and that supports our district. In order to take a step forward, we've all got to be on the same front, and we all need to be able to be heard and to make progress together. So thanks.
Thank you. And Ms. Cochran?
I guess I agree with a lot of the things that my fellow candidates have said. The graduation rates and some of the communication pieces within the district was definitely one of the struggles that brought me into being so involved within the district. When the most recent graduating class had a 42.1% of the kids were failing at least one quarter at that Rock Springs High School. Now, last night at the board meeting, we got to hear that student engagement is up, that referrals are down. I really do like the way that Mr. Supas is presenting some of this information to people and actually giving some of that connectivity, which I think as a whole, we need to build more into as a whole connection piece. because I feel like we do need a lot of parent involvement. Dana Eddy spoke last night and she mentioned, the parent involvement group at the high school. It's so exciting to have that back up and something like that running. 4 years ago, they did an involvement group. There were 14 parents. We need more parents to come. We need to support the teachers, the administrative staff. We need to follow the data. We need to follow the information and be as data driven and informative as we can with all of the information that we have in order to gauge that student success. I think with changing to standardized grading, it's going to be really interesting to see how that's going to change and affect the grading practices that happen throughout the entire district. I'm excited to see how the K-6 will connect some of those gaps that they said that they have missing in the curriculum, and I hope to have the opportunity to help follow the data and see more student improvement.
Thank you. On the third question, we'll start with Ms. Schumacher. What do you think is going well with the district?
What is going well with the district? I think there's a lot of things that the district brings to our community. I do believe that the district, much like Mr. Wright indicated, gets a lot of the negativity on social media. But ultimately, I do believe that they offer a lot of opportunities for parents and for the community to be involved that people don't always take advantage of. So I do believe that they give that opportunity. I think that it's not always something that everyone can be a part of. So I would like to see it not so selective in certain things, like with their task forces, maybe, trying to make those bigger or to change the dynamic of something like that. But I do think that they do allow the opportunity for those parents and teachers and staff who want to be a part and have a voice in everything. They have that. Is it perfect? No, but ultimately it is something that I do believe the school district does do well, along with just communicating and letting parents in the community know what's going on. I mean, social media is a big one, but we also have things like the Parent Square and things of that nature, where ultimately you are pretty much in the now of what is happening throughout the district all the time. If you want the information, you certainly have it.
Thank you. Mr. Wright?
Yeah, so I think we all need to recognize that our current economic environment is tough and funds are short, and making allocations that support and foster a thriving education system is difficult right now. And I think that's something that our district is doing well. I think, it starts first of all with our teachers. We have to be able to attract and maintain quality teachers. And I believe that our district, in a time that's very difficult to do that, is doing everything that they can to retain talent and to encourage our teachers to keep doing their best. And so I think that we can all look at our personal lives and our professional lives and know that we're in a pretty tough economy. And to know that there's a system that has to support public education. There are funds that need to go to various programs. There are funds that need to go to school lunches. We want our students to learn best. You learn best with a full belly. For the last couple of years, we've had the support that all students are having breakfast and lunch and having those full bellies that they need to learn. And I know that we're also supporting very safe schools. I think for students to come and show up and learn their best, they need to feel safe. And I think this district's doing a very good job helping students and providing the tools at their local schools to feel safe and to be able to succeed with what they have. I think that, there's not an endless stream of money as much as we wish there was, but with the money that we have, I think prioritizing and allocating that money to the tools that we can to be successful is what we need to do. And I think our district is doing that.
Thank you. And Ms. Cochran?
I think the district is doing a lot of things really well. I really like all of the communication pieces that we have that happen through Parent Square. I like the technology pieces that we have that help to connect people that can't always be there and aren't always around. I really enjoyed last year getting Parent Square emails home with information that correlated with the curriculum that my daughter was learning every single week, that paired things together. So as a parent, I could take a more active role in her education and know that in math, this is what she was doing. And in reading, this is what she was learning. And it really helped me to know if she came home and she struggled, that I was able to pick up where we left off, at her last time, knowing that I wasn't lost in the mix. And I thought that was a really important key factor to being more involved. I like that we're doing more Friday schools and offering up some more different opportunities like that for our students with STEM programs and different opportunities that some kids just aren't allowed to have that option or opportunity with their families. We try to build a lot of different gaps in the different kids that come through the district for a public education. I mean, you have kids on all spectrums, and I feel like we try to be really inclusive to all kids to protect them and to provide a safe learning environment for all of them, which is key and important to allow them to feel safe with the educators that they're with. And I know the district has been striving to work really hard to recruit teachers and to retain teachers, which is something that's really important. As the governor stated, 65% of teachers were looking at leaving the district. Not our district, but just teaching in general. And we need to find the support to support the people who support our kids.
Thank you. And Ms. Eddy?
So what I think the district is doing very well, and I'm going to speak more towards the junior high and the high school, that's where my experience is at. I will have to say the staff is incredible. I have a child that sometimes challenges us. Each of us, I think, have had one of those. And I have never met a teacher that has not been unwilling to help me and my child succeed at passing a class. It's been amazing. I had a teacher run down a hall after my child to make sure he had a worksheet that he needed to get done in order to pass a class. That's not something that we hear very much, and I don't think that's something that we tell teachers very often that we appreciate about them. So I think the district is finding good quality teachers, and even some teachers that you might have a preconceived notion about, and you're thinking your child's like, oh, that teacher. But I will tell you that I have not had an experience where I couldn't get something resolved with the teacher. The district has used Parent Square. It allows me in my busy workday to send off a message very quickly with the teacher, ask a question, and they are very responsive for the most part. So I really do appreciate that. And I've seen them answer at times of the day that I would not think that they would be answering in the evenings. Oh, I send them messages like, I didn't expect this back. So I want the district to know that they are hiring good quality teachers. And that's something I think they are doing very well, and giving us the tools to communicate quickly back and forth to resolve issues or get on top of something before it becomes a real issue for us. Thank you.
Thank you. This question will begin with Mr. Wright. What would be your role in staff recruitment, employment, and retention?
Well, that's tricky for me. Some may know, some may not know, but my wife is a teacher in the district. So much like Mr. Mickelson, currently, I think there would be some situations in which I would need to walk a fine line and maybe abstain from certain positions. However, I am here and very supportive of our teachers in general. As far as recruiting and retaining, I've already spoke to it, but I think that's a key to a good education for our students, is having people who stay in the district for their full career. And it takes, incentives to do that. It takes support to do that. And I'm very much on board with doing anything that we can at the district level to make sure that teachers have the tools that they need to be successful, that they feel supported. I know one of the issues that came up in the board meeting last night was some of the mental challenges. I think our teachers deserve a support system, a support network, just as much as our students do. So anything that we could do to foster an environment where they feel like they have the encouragement from their district and the tools that they need, I'm all for. I think it goes lightly sometimes how much teachers put into to their job. I think, as Mrs. Eddy just said, you send a message at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. You don't expect a response right away, but oftentimes you get it. You send one at 6 in the morning. All of a sudden, your teacher's awake and she's responding. It's amazing. They're very dedicated. They're very hardworking, and we need to support them.
Thank you. Ms. Cochran?
Quality classroom teachers are vital for student success, not only academically, but to encourage a love of learning, to build self-esteem, and to feel safe. I think that we need to partner and build more community connection to value our teachers and value education. During COVID, we had a lot of community people who were, thriving about, I can't wait to send my kid back, please, please, please. And sometimes we don't understand all of the time and the hours that go into being a teacher. They do answer emails and respond constantly, and they put forth so much time and so much effort. And we do need to make sure that they're valued. I struggle. The 4-day week, I know for a fact, has helped to bring some people into the district. I know some teachers were looking at going to Green River and chose to come here. So I'm hoping that that will continue. But we are also up to another 2-year calendar. So, there are some pieces that are going to play factors into schedules, and how do those all mix together, and what do teachers feel, and how do they relate to some of those pieces. And so there are a lot of new things that are going to be up and coming to help to retain them. But we also need to retain good quality administrators and keep them here. And so building a strong community where they can set down roots to stay. When my parents came in 1979, they built roots, they stayed. And I'm still here. So they've continued to keep putting down roots, and we need more of that to happen.
Thank you. Ms. Eddy?
So I think one of the most important things that we can do is look for those young teachers, as well as people that have been in industry as that could come into the teacher environment. I think as a community, we could look at supporting our teachers in certain roles even more so, and relating to education, how those can grow and how kids can progress into different industries. I was just up at the Southwest Manufacturing Day at the college last Friday, and it was amazing how many teachers stopped and started talking to us and said, I never thought my kids could do something like that, or would you be willing to come into my classroom so kids understand sometimes life kind of sidewinds and they don't know where to go with that. So it was helping teachers grow their knowledge as well as to what they could help their kids learn to grow them further. I've seen a couple of things throughout the district and the community for teachers, things like come and have a free coffee day or discount day. And I think maybe that's something we can engage the community more so to support our teachers, to give them that mental break, to give them that support. I know last year there were times that the booster club or the football team would go and buy teachers coffee at one of the schools if they knew they were having an in-service day, and they were completely shocked. They kind of thought that they had been forgotten about. So I think those just little pieces of things that we can do to encourage them and know that they're appreciated would go a long ways. And I think that opens the dialogue as well for them to communicate back what they need and what they need to grow and how to keep that retention going to show that they're appreciated.
Thank you. And Ms. Schumacher?
As far as recruitment goes, I think recruitment is hard no matter what within the industry of the district. The University of Wyoming recently stated how even just the people who are a part of the programs for teaching are down, and that is something that is seen nationwide. It's not just specific to Wyoming. I think that recruitment, I probably don't know enough of exactly what our school currently does, but definitely getting the word out there more, being a little more involved with the University of Wyoming. I attended there for 5 years, and I never saw anything from Rock Springs, and unfortunately Rock Springs doesn't always have the best reputation. And if you talk about Rock Springs outside of being in Rock Springs, a lot of times you have a negative, instantly a negative comment that is made to you. So I think just getting out what the community even offers to other places like Laramie and the University of Wyoming or the other community colleges, because they all know what Wyoming is about and why they would want to stay in Wyoming, and that could be something that we could offer. As far as retention, I think that giving a voice to teachers, staff, administration, ultimately being able to work with them, support them is a big thing. I think that Cole was right on with what he said. I think that giving them that support is something that is so absolutely important. But then also, I do believe that teachers and parents need to also have that connection. And I think that maybe at the elementary level, you see a little more involvement. You have parent-teacher conferences that are pretty much mandated where here's a time slot, come and do it. But being at the junior high and high school level, that goes away. You don't necessarily see people going in and parents being and having that connection with 7 or 8 different teachers for every student that they have. And so I think that is something that needs to occur and be able to bring that disconnect together in order to have that retention with our teachers as well.
Thank you. Our next question will start with Ms. Cochran. Public education and teachers have received a lot of criticism recently. What, if any, of the complaints raised about schools and teachers do you believe are valid, and how would you address those issues?
Education is definitely in the hot seat all the time, as it is such a key component to child success. One of the things I think that as a parent, I felt like I struggled with the most with teachers, and that piece is the grading and the feedback in a timely manner. I know that life gets busy and times get crazy and it happens for all of us, but having some timely expectations of what is required so that the student knows what their accountability is and the parent knows what their accountability is, and everyone can be on the same page. We have, Power School, which helps to keep us informed of what your daily grade is or what it looks like at a secondary level, not necessarily for an elementary level. But I think that those pieces of keeping that connectivity and that accurate information with parents would go a long way in student success.
Thank you. And Ms. Eddy?
Can you repeat the question?
Public education and teachers have received a lot of criticism recently. What, if any, of the complaints raised about schools and teachers do you believe are valid, and how would you address those issues?
So I think when we look at that question, that's a difficult question in some ways because everybody's going to have a different opinion of what is valid and what is not. So some of the frustrations I have has led me to this point. What's going on? Why are these problems here? And it's about getting involved. And I've even, in the short amount of time that I've been on the PIT team at the high school, there's been so much talk about the standardized or the standards-based grading. That meeting that we just had last week was 15 parents, 4 of which were married couples. So there's a lot of complaining, but there's not a lot of action. So this is the piece about getting back into the schools, starting to parent. I think we do a really good job when our kids are tiny because they are navigating, right? And then as they get a little bit older, I feel like parents start getting less and less involved because we think they can handle things. That's probably when they need the most guidance, just because of what is coming up, what is their next step after school. So there may be some valid concerns. Graduation rate. Well, the district and Principal Soup is addressing those items. So I think it's hard to say what is valid necessarily without doing your research and confirming that that's a valid problem, rather than just say, oh yeah, it's a problem. So you have to educate yourself, which, as with anything, is the right thing to do. And then also going in and becoming involved and seeing how you can help. It's great to give a reason, a rant, right, as he said, but it's quite a different thing to try to give a solution or offer up a solution or a way you can support the solution that they're trying to come up with. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Schumacher?
So I would say, as far as criticism goes, it really depends on where you're getting your criticism from. To say whether or not something is valid is really dependent on the source of where it's coming from. And so I think personally, as far as teachers and public education criticism that I've experienced, is more so just the disconnect of some of those teachers that you don't have the communication with, or ultimately one of the things that that I feel that our district did. I mean, it was years ago, but is joining and having one junior high. I feel like that public education system at the junior high level is not the best that we could produce in Sweetwater County. And I think that we lose a lot of the opportunity for kids to be involved in, say, sporting activities, where ultimately those kids now, you have this idea where you used to have two different junior highs. You had A and B team at each level, and you had kids that struggle in school that ultimately now don't have that opportunity because they're not good enough to make an A and B team in one junior high. Then you also have the junior high of it being like a little mini high school, and we're starting young. We're looking at 7th and 8th graders. I mean, 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds that are within that bunch of people that I think really could be addressed. I think that having the 9th graders at the high school level, where you have 14-year-olds going into high school and ultimately dealing with 18, some 19-year-olds in the same building, is something that could be addressed as far as that goes with our public education system locally, where the 9th graders could be moved out of that and maybe separated out in a way that would statistically be able to increase our student achievement throughout the district altogether.
Thank you. Mr. Wright?
So I'm sure I'm going to slaughter this quote, but I think there's something out there that says, don't judge another person until you walk a mile in their shoes. I think a lot of people have the audacity to criticize without putting themselves in somebody else's shoes. And I think we need to understand that our teachers are working tirelessly as is. They're given a lot of requirements and standards that they have to meet. And sometimes the complaints or concerns that we have and expect solutions to may not be something that goes along with what those teachers need to do in their day-to-day activities. I think our teachers work very hard to accommodate any parent questions, concerns, or anything that come their way. But we're not in the classrooms every day. They are. And I think that instead, as Mrs. Eddy said, instead of people complaining or criticizing, they should take a moment to present a solution with their criticism. I think if we're going to criticize or have complaints, which we all do at all times, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. There are things, that I'd like to see different, and that's one of the reasons that I'm here. However, you have to be progressive about it. You have to be able to present your concern with a solution. I will say, I think it's amazing that our teachers are working at the elementary level to teach our children this growth mindset. It's not something that I learned in school. It's not something that many of us are probably formally educated on. But I think that's exactly what we're talking about here. Have a growth mindset and be able to come to these events or come to your district with concerns and solutions. And I think we can work through those.
Thank you. And our next question will begin with Ms. Eddy. What thoughts would you like to leave us with?
I think I just want to leave you with that. I just really want to try to make a change and make that connection between community, our school district, and our parents. As I said, we didn't have very much involvement with the parent committee, and I'm hoping that keeps growing. I've had a lot of people asking those questions, but you have to get involved. We're our small knit community, and it's one of the most amazing communities I've actually ever lived in. When there is something that happens in this community, it's amazing how we can pull together. But sometimes I think we miss the boat when it really matters that we can give consistent support for. I've witnessed in the last 9 years that I've been here. At first, I did not want to be here. It was so small compared to where I came from, and I would not choose anywhere else to be honest. So I just want to thank the community for listening to us tonight and for giving us the opportunity to try to make this better for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Schumacher?
As far as what to leave everyone with tonight, the biggest thing for me and the reason why I'm here is not necessarily to win or to gain anything by being on the school board. I think ultimately my overall goal of being able to be a part of the school board is to be able to be an involved parent that will impact the education of not only my children, but all of our children within the community, and to be able to hopefully bring the few disconnects that I've personally seen together and give students and staff a voice, give parents a voice, and hopefully be able to allow the ability of the district to get more involved with the community to be more involved with the district, so everyone has a better understanding, and maybe we see a little less rants and a lot more raves, but ultimately to be able to support everyone that's involved in the district and be able to essentially provide an environment that everyone is successful in, that teachers want to be a part of, that students want to be a part of, and that ultimately we see an increase in student achievement by doing so.
Thank you. Mr. Wright?
Yeah, so in my opinion, life's about creating and living experiences that are worth sharing. That's why I'm here. I'd like to be able to provide our little ones, our big ones, any experiences that I've gained throughout life and be able to help them in their pursuit of their dreams and their happiness. Something that I'd like to leave you guys with is I believe in servant leadership. Servant leadership is where you're essentially there to mentor, to guide, to be able to help and direct, but not to manage or not to try to tell you what to do. So if I were to be elected, I promise to listen to the concerns of our community, set goals with clear vision, and focus on student achievement by strategically using our resources. As the last two ladies have said before me, parental involvement's obviously a clear reason why we're all here. And I'd like to thank all three of them for that. Obviously, no matter which one of the four of us make it to the school board, it doesn't matter. The fact that everybody's here for the same reason and for the right reason to be involved, I think you're going to have a great school board. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. And I would like to work together with our community to support and foster an environment for our children and teachers where we can be progressive. Thanks.
Thank you. And Ms. Cochran?
I also want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here and thank the other candidates. I believe that we all do have the best interest of the children in mind as we enter into this election. Regardless of the outcome, I got involved to be more involved in student achievement and to see that the district and the community grow together and to be successful. I feel that I would look forward to working with any of the other candidates, whether it is as a board member or as a community member, to be involved in the continuing education for our students. I feel like everyone's here for the right reasons, to be respectful to education and to be open-minded and to listen and be involved. The most important resource that we have in our community is our children, and we all want to positively impact their student achievement and see it grow. We want to see the teachers feel supported and appreciated, administrators, all the way up to the top. I mean, everyone here at the CEB, you have big jobs, big roles to fill all the way through. So whether it comes down to our lunch staff, to our custodians, I mean, you have some big jobs and some big roles, and they all make impactful pieces to children's life on a daily basis. So thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the Sweetwater Education Association and Sweetwater One, I'd like to thank the candidates for coming and appreciate your giving your time and your dedication to our children. I'd also like to thank Zach for staying and running our technology. Thank you.